What's going on, Tiger fans? So I'm going to be real with you guys. It's starting to get to the point right now with the season that coming on here and doing a weekly video is starting to become a thing that I'm beginning to question to do. Usually, I want to say the last couple of seasons, that I've been doing this being back, it wasn't until, I don't know, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if you remember, but I think it wasn't usually till like the first week of September, maybe last week of August, where I'm just like, season can end, I'm ready for it, doesn't matter. Baseball that they're playing now doesn't matter. So I can vividly remember last year, it was right around September, maybe the first week I was just done. And then the Tigers last year actually played some of their best baseball the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year when it didn't matter, when they had like a series in Baltimore and other shit. And I was just ready for it to be over. But I think this year, with how that trade deadline went down, I'm about at my wit's end for the Tigers for this year. That's why I didn't even make a July report card. If you want a report card overall, F. There you go. I'm just to the point now where I don't really care. I've had other things going on to where, I've been still been watching a fair amount of the games, but I haven't been able to watch every single night. I'm still watching about 80% of the games. But it's just getting hard to care for the rest of the year to this point because that trade deadline, guys, I'm still pretty pissed over it. And, when more details started to come out about the Erod deal, where I think what happened in having a few days to look upon it and read everything that had come out, I think the Dodgers wanted Erod to opt in because I have a feeling the prospect capital that the Dodgers were going to move was going to be solely dependent on if Erod opt in, because from everything that we've heard and consistently read, that the Tigers had a high asking price on him. And I think the Dodgers were willing to meet it because the Dodgers really needed another starter. And they had Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez call. They had just everyone trying to get Erod to come in. And Erod had actually waived his no trade. And I think with the prospect capital they were willing to leverage to get him, I think they wanted him to opt in so it wouldn't be all for naught. And Erod, who says that it was about family, it was about not wanting to uproot his family, not wanting to live in Detroit. He likes it here. He wants to stay here. Well, kind of convenient that a fourth year and $20 million would have convinced him enough to leave and to waive his no-trade clause, which he was going to do. But the Dodgers didn't want to pick up the fourth year. They wanted him at 349, which, I don't blame them because the AAV is cheap. And for someone like that, and with Erod's history, injury history, they wanted to have the lowest amount of potential getting screwed. What I don't understand is looking back on this for a couple days later, if Erod wanted that fourth year at $20 million bucks, and that's what it was going to take for the Dodgers to pick it up, but they weren't willing to pick up that fourth year at that cost. You look at what the Mets did with Verlander and Scherzer. Steve Cohen put a lot of money into those contracts. That way the Mets got back prospects of good caliber. Because if you look at teams that do contract dumps, if you don't eat a lot of the money and you eat just enough to make the deal go down, you're not going to get any kind of prospect worth of value. But when you do it like the Mets did, where you're eating big, substantial amounts of money, the player, even though he has years left and lots of money remaining, since the team is getting that player at a discount, they're not so hamstrung about giving up someone of a good quality prospect because you're eating so much of the cash. Essentially, you're raising the value of the player because you're taking care of the monetary issue of it. So the years don't become such a thing. So then your player's value becomes more. So if the Mets were willing to do that, and it was going to take $20 million to get Erod to, uproot his family from Detroit because he likes it so much here, and I guess he said the claims that he didn't want to play out on the West Coast are not true. Why didn't the Tigers just offer to pay one of the 3 opt-out years? Why didn't the Tigers offer to pay $10 million of the $20 million? Or why didn't they offer to pay 16 and a half, take one of the years? That way the Dodgers have to pick up the $20 million, but the Tigers are paying for a year to get the deal through. That didn't make any sense. And I think this all falls back down to my initial point of Scott Harris just really butchering this. And Scott Harris, knowing that damn well Erod was going to get traded in May, knowing damn well that teams were going to want him, to only have one deal worked out. One deal. And you didn't even begin to consummate it till the deadline day. Like, how do you wait that long? You look at what the White Sox did. They were selling pieces off over a week ahead of the deadline. They had a mission. They had a motive. They wanted to trade some of their valuable assets. They weren't winning. Just like the Tigers. They're not winning. And they started right away. Right away. And the White Sox with a shitty team managed to deal, I think, 8 players. And the Tigers that have plenty of chips dealt 1. I mean, sit back and think about that. And I don't want to make this another 20-minute video all about Erod, but it needs to be said, now that more of the details coming out. It just looks bad even days later. And just trying to care for the rest of the year and trying to watch when you know that, we don't know what the offseason is going to bring. We don't know what Scott Harris has in store, what trades. We don't know what the plans are for the last 4 weeks of the season for September call-ups. I mean, maybe then they'll come off of their, such tight viewing of AAA at-bats for the bigger prospects and give them a window of opportunity to compete. We don't know, that's still a possibility of them coming up. We don't know what Harris, is going to try to do to make up for this massive, massive fuck up that was Erod. But the one thing I want to just reiterate the point from is the Tigers gave Erod all the leverage. They let him use that no trade clause to dictate everything that was happening. Scott Harris didn't have a backup plan for that no trade clause. He put himself in basically one spot, one opportunity, that's it, instead of exploring multiple avenues. And anyone that thinks that Erod is going to opt in because he quote-unquote loves it here in Detroit, and when the media asked him, are you going to opt in? And he goes, if I had a magic 8-ball, I would tell you. That just goes to show you how much he loves Detroit. Erod loves Detroit as much as someone loves a hemorrhoid. He's wearing his little ring so he can sit down and his ass doesn't hurt. But the second he's able to get out of Detroit and the second he's able to cash in, you're already seeing what kind of pay increase he's looking for. He's looking for an additional $20 million on top of his contract. And like I said, I think the Dodgers wanted him to opt into that deal. So they got 3 of 49, but Erod's like, nope, I want XYZ pay increase. He wants 20 more million bucks with an additional year. That's what he's going to be looking for. So if you're the Tigers, to keep him, according to him, to opt in, and he might only wanted to opt in because the Dodgers, we're just going to give him that deal because the Dodgers are a competitive franchise. The Tigers are probably looking at 5 at 80 or 5 at 85 to sign him, to lock him back in. And honestly, at this point, with the things that are said and, that are not true, that he loves it here, because like I said, he is going to opt out. He is going to be gone the second the season's done. He's gone. I don't want them to re-sign him. He's pitching above his means as what he is as a starter. Last year, he leaves for almost 3 months and is just gone. Alavila doesn't even know where he's at. Now this year, he gets hurt again, and now you go to trade him, and you can't trade him, and it makes Scott Harris look stupid, which he certainly most was. I really hope they don't bring him back. I don't want him back. He's 30 years old. He's going on the other side of 30. He's going to want 5 years. At 5 years for at least, if you wanted 4 at 69, but he's going to go out on the open market. I guarantee you ask for 5 at 80 or 85. Fuck that. That screams Jordan Zimmerman 2.0 all over again. Screams Jordan Zimmerman all over again. Let someone else pay him. Let someone else give him that money. Let someone else let him tell the franchise how much he loves it there. Just opt out. And what really sucks is Red Sox already gave him a qualifying offer. So the only team that gets a comp pick for Eduardo Rodriguez was the Red Sox when the Tigers had signed him. So it's just a giant fuck you all over again. But that needed to be said. Again, not to beat a dead horse, but with how this was handled, it was deflating. And it has been hard to watch this team the last few days, knowing that they're destined for 90-plus losses again. It's another season down the books that there's no improvement whatsoever. I mean, you can look at a few things. They became more versatile. There's way more versatility within the organization. Almost every player can play multi-positions. Green took a huge step this year. Torkelson is definitely taking a step this year. But you look at some of the trades, like Matt Vierling has been their only good player from their trades. From the Soto trade, Maton's been a joke. Eric Haas took a major step back so far this year, and it doesn't look like he's going to have that second half resurgence like he did last year. Offense is still abysmally bad. The defense has been good but horrific at the same time. For some weird reason, Torkelson has the hardest time throwing to pitchers covering bags. I don't understand what it is. The outfield has been great this year. That's been one of their strong suits is outs in the air. They're one of the highest teams in the whole MLB at turning balls in the air into outs. So they're not giving away extra outs there, which has been good. But the infield defense, I mean, you've been had a revolving door at second base and third base all year, and the amount of different players that have played those two positions has just been astounding. Jake Rogers has had a good year, but looking overall at the organization going into 24, it's looking like another repeat thing. The Tigers right now, looking at their team, not knowing what the roster moves are going to be or who's eventually going to get a shot. It's like the record's stuck and it's just skipping over and over and over again at that same spot. Just sitting there skipping and no forward progress. And I don't want to make it seem like trading Eduardo Rodriguez would have gave me a bunch more hope and thinking, yeah, they're a 110-win team this year. No, it's not. But there's a difference between you getting 2 or 3 players and you don't know what that package would have included or who the Tigers were including in that package with Erod. It could have been a big trade. But what do you feel better about? Having 2 or 3 poker chips to put on the table to see, especially from an organization like the Dodgers, who are really good at producing young talent, or Erod walking out with a handshake and saying, thanks for everything, appreciate the opt-out, and I'm going to go get paid now. So you have to look at it like that. And like I said, it's just been hard to care. It's just been hard to care because it was just such a devastating blow. It just really was. And like I said in my last video, it's going to take, Scott Harris some kind of an off season to really make up for Erod to walk out the door. And I think if the organization panics and they think now that they have an egg on their face and they have to sign Erod because you got nothing for him, I don't know how much I would trust that in leveraging that future for a future result of success and not seeing Jordan Zimmerman 2.0. Only time will tell. But as for the Tigers this week, what I did watch, so they only played a couple series this week. They had the Bucks and the Rays, and Pittsburgh's been bad. Of course, the Tigers take a split. It was a 2-game set anyways. First game of the series, they almost get shut out. They managed to score 1 run. Second game, Eduardo Rodriguez makes his first of, probably 9 or 10 more useless starts down the stretch. And pitches well enough to get a win. He didn't pitch too bad. Had a little bit of hard contact off him early, but he settled in. And I ain't talking shit that he ain't a good pitcher this year. He's definitely been a good pitcher this year. But he's out here, playing not even for a spot on the podium. I mean, the Tigers might finish third, but man, that division's so bad. So Erod makes his first of his last useless starts. Then the Tigers come home to play Tampa for 3, get destroyed the first game of the series, get shut out 8-0. And I had a gig. I think I'm gonna put in the description below if you guys have made it this far in this video. I've been in a band, and we're pushing now, and we're starting to play gigs. So I was playing a gig Friday night, and if you guys could give us a follow on Instagram and stuff, TikTok, that'd be greatly appreciated. I'll leave the links down below. So I didn't really get to watch this game at all. I just was keeping up with it at the bar, and glad I missed it. I only got to watch box score stuff of it. It wasn't worth the time to watch. Second game of the series, they managed to, they hit the ball hard yesterday and managed to score some runs, kept Tampa Bay in check, and they won. What was it, 4-2 or 6 to? I think it was 4-2. Alex Lang, goddamn, I love Alex Lang, and I'm not saying, I'm not advocating that they need to trade him or get rid of him. But there is something severely wrong with this guy, either mentally or pitching mechanics-wise. Because this man went from reliever of the month in May to where his misses are so bad. I'm talking just in the dirt. He cannot throw a ball or two off the plate. It's either a strike down the middle and, or a swing and a miss on a curveball, or he is literally like the guy in the first row is ducking because he's like Wild Thing, or he's like Bull Durham when he hits the bull with the ball. That's how bad Alex Lang's command's been. He's walked, I think, 22 hitters in his last 21 innings. Last 2 times in a row he's come out, AJ Hinch has had to go out there and pull him to get the third out of the inning. The time before this, he got the first 2 outs of the inning, and then he loaded the bases, and they had to go to Tyler Holton to get the last out of the game. And luckily they did. The bases were loaded with 2 outs. They almost blew that game. And then against Tampa Bay, he lucked out. He got a double play in that inning, and to get out of that, they had to go pull him again to bail him out. So, and Bo Brisky came out and got Isaac Paredes on a super high fastball, which they lucked out that he chased. So they either need to take him out of that leverage situation and flip him in fully, because it's not like Hinch doesn't have options back there. Bo Brisky, since going into the bullpen, he's been really good. Like, his new pitch mix with this sinker and four-seamer, he's throwing hard. He's like throwing 97. And his command is really good. That was one thing last year, and one thing I liked about Bo Brisky. If you guys go back and watch some of my videos last year, if you remember from last year, the thing I've said consistently about him is he's got real bulldog mentality. He's a guy that always is trying to attack the strike zone. He's not scared of giving up contact in the zone. He's always trying to throw quality strikes. He's got a good changeup. And I think him as a reliever is a perfect role for him, because now he's letting it eat. When he would start last year, he'd come out of the game, throw him like 96, 97, and then by middle innings, he's like 91, 92, 93. I think the one nice thing about him being a reliever is he's letting it eat all the time, and he's got good command. Now, so far we haven't seen it yet, but one thing that Bo Brisky was prone to last year was giving up home runs, especially the first hitter of the game, and then he would settle in. But he's got good stuff. And then Tyler Holton's been really good. And then they picked up Andrew Velasquez from the Phillies off of waivers. He had his first appearance today, and today's game was a fucking disaster. Dan Dickerson and Andy Dirks are on the call because I was listening to it while I was doing some yard work today. I listened to the whole game and watched the last 2 innings of it. So they're talking about keeping the Tampa Bay Rays bats down and trying to score a couple of runs off of Erasmo Ramirez early to get the offense going. And before you know it, it's 2 innings, and Matt Manning's given up five runs. Yandy Diaz absolutely destroyed him today. I mean, it was guys on, first and third as soon as there were like 6 pitches into the game. Matt Manning's has been throwing less fastballs this year. He's been more breaking ball. He's been pitching more reverse, where he's throwing more breaking balls than he has fastballs. And is that, if you're gonna do that, you need to have a really elite pitch that it gets a lot of chase, like Alex Lang's curveball, and right now, I think the biggest thing is he's pitching backwards so much, but he's leaving so much stuff in the zone. That's like when Tarek Skubal is going bad, when he's been having a big issue with the big innings and not being able to work out of it. It's because his slider isn't that good. He gets flat, he leaves it in the zone, he can't get swings and misses on it, and it becomes hittable. His off-speed stuff becomes hittable in those situations. Where Matt Manning, the big thing about them is the Tigers have been trying to get him to throw hard from the rip. They don't want him cruising at 90 to 92. They want him out there throwing 95 to 97. They want him setting the tone with his fastball and pitching off that and utilizing his breaking balls. But he's been so hittable with his off-speed stuff, his slider and curveball, that his fastball being a little bit less velocity when he's just cruising, and his command hasn't been that good with him, that he's just spinning off-speed stuff up there, and it's getting tattooed. It's getting absolutely demolished. And Yanni Diaz had a day off of him. And the Tigers kept trying to rally back. I mean, they got within 2. Kerry Carpenter comes out and hits a dead nuts tank shot to center field to get within 2 runs. Brandon White comes out, gives up a 2-run shot. I mean, every single time it's 5-0, 5-1, 6-1, 5 or 6-2. I mean, every time they got within 4. And they could not get back into the game. There was only a couple times that Matt Manning, I think, had 1 shutdown inning, 2 shutdown innings, a 5th and 6th inning, and somehow he managed to give the Tigers the innings he did today, which I was extremely shocked by, with how many pitches he threw and how hard the contact was. But that guy, he really needs to learn. If he's going to start pitching backwards and throwing more breaking balls and fastballs, he really needs to learn to quit leaving stuff middle over the plate. He needs to, if he's going to throw breaking balls, he needs to be able to throw to the corners of the plate. He needs to be able to start that slider as a strike and have it finish as a ball. And he's got to pitch off his fastball. Like, if you can't sit there and pitch to the corners and move your fastball around and make hitters respect that, and they're going to sit on your slider that is leaking out over the middle of the plate, it's pretty much a BP fastball, like, you're going to get crushed. And that's what has been happening. But neither here nor there, the Tigers have a chance, again, to take a series at home from a really good opponent. And it was just squandered opportunities. Bad defense today by Andy Ibanez. Bad defense today by Spencer Torkelson. So I think the only positive of this weekend is I went up to Michigan this weekend, and I actually went to the signing at DC Sports, and I met Spencer Torkelson and Riley Green. I got to shoot the shit with them for the few minutes I was there, which was pretty cool. They were both nice guys. I got a magazine signed by them and took a couple pictures with them. And next time I go up, I have this really cool Spencer Torkelson bat. Maybe one day I'll show off his game-used bat. I want to get that signed. So it was cool, but that was about the only positive of the weekend. And like I said, guys, I'm not going to make videos. I am going to keep doing this every week until the season ends. But me not caring about the team came a lot faster this year than it did last year, because it's that whole Erod situation. It burned me out. It really just made me not care. So I'm still watching as much as I can. Like I said, I'm going to leave my band's stuff in the description. Check us out and give us a follow or like. I'd greatly appreciate it. So I've been doing that a couple times a week now, going out trying to get our name out there. So I've been having that with this, and yeah, only a few more weeks. Hopefully September we get a chance to see Parker and Justin Hunter and all those guys come up and at least get some kind of an opportunity, so we can see at least something. Maybe give us something to look forward to for 2024. So I got for you guys this week. I appreciate you watching as always. Thank you to the new subscribers I've gotten since that Erod video. And I'll see you next week. Go Tigers.